Welcome to the Don't Be Mad podcast. I am, of course, Mr. Don't Be Mad. And today I have a very special guest for you today. I have one of CT's probably most relevant people in the music industry. Most known person that I know in the managing world. I have Mr. Chris Fury in the building. What's going on? Welcome to the Don't Be Mad podcast.
What's up, man? What's up? Thanks for having me, boss.
I appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, we've been trying to
We've been trying to link this up for a little minute now, so I'm happy that you found a minute to get over here.
Yeah.
And it worked out for me, so that was great. Shout out my building right now, but shout out Chris Webby. He's dealing with some stuff. Keep your head up, bro. Hope everything well. Keep pushing. He'll probably be here next episode. He really wanted to make it to this one, but he had some personal shit going on. I definitely passed the word on to him. So welcome to Don't Be Mad podcast, bro.
I'm here, man.
You've been fucking killing shit as long as I can remember.
Appreciate that.
So I can say that I've been doing in the club life for over fucking 12, 15 years
long time.
now.
Yeah. I remember running into you early on.
So Santo and all of my brothers, everybody's been in the music industry, so I know a lot about you. I've known about you since 15 years ago. So
dope.
and then you've been doing it for how long? So how long have you been doing what you've been doing, the management or the guidance?
I mean, officially as a job, 20 years now.
Not a lot of people can say that.
No, I mean a long time. I mean, I started really young, and I got in with good people early. So I started to take this real serious and try and earn a living at it. By the time I was like 19.
19?
Yeah.
Damn.
So
what was your first, like, what approach did you take to start? Like, what was you wanting to do? Was you wanting to be an artist, or did you want to be what you're doing now, management?
So I never wanted to be an artist. I don't even know if I ever really wanted to be in music in general. Like I played sports middle school and high school, so my plan was to like go to college and play baseball. You know what I'm saying? I had a homie that was a DJ in high school, and he was like my only friend in music. So we used to do like house parties together, and I would be the dude that like organized the party, brought the speakers, you know what I'm saying?
Because you know a lot of people too, because you're in the sports world.
Yeah.
And so an athlete is a popular person in high school.
Something like that in high school, you know what I'm saying? So, but that was really my only thing with music. It wasn't a thing. And then I got into some legal stuff, and the baseball thing didn't happen, and the college thing started, and it just didn't interest me. So there was like this AM radio station that's in the same town that I'm from. And at the time, it was the only AM hip-hop station in Connecticut.
And I was going to get to it because I remember, I know you was in radio first, so you brought that up. So you was in AM radio?
Yeah, so basically I drove by the station one day. I was 18, 19 years old, and I applied for an internship. I just seen a truck with a hip-hop sign outside. And so the dude, anyways, didn't hire me for an internship. He hired me to do sales for commercials. So I was from town, like I did really well at it, you know what I'm saying? And
that's actually a pretty cool thing to jump into, like.
Yeah, I was good at talking, I was good at all of that. So it worked out for me for a few months, and then one day there was a huge snow. I was probably a salesman for 3 months, but I started to get in with, at that time, like KG was there, Richie Rich was there, like Big Mike was even there. Billy Bush was there. You know what I'm saying? So
they've been working for a while.
For a minute, you know. So I started to get in with them, and then there was like a snowstorm one day, and I lived in the same town as the station, so everybody else was from super far. So he called me up at like 6 a.m, like, yo, I need you to go to the station. Nobody can get there. I need you to go get on air. So I went and I got on air, and I was on air for like 10 hours by myself. And this is at the point where like the commercials was on DAT machines, and you was playing CDs like one at a time from the wall. Wow.
Oh, for real?
That's how you picked the song. There was no computer system. You know what I'm saying?
So you was in there rocking for a couple hours.
So I called myself Big Chris for the day. You know what I'm saying? And because it was an AM station, it was only like Southington, New Britain, Meriden, a little bit of Waterbury, like Bristol, Plainville, it didn't stretch very far. So the next day, people started calling for me because they knew me from being from around the way. You know what I'm saying?
I need Big Chris.
So they ended up giving me my own show, and I was on 2 to 6 Monday through Friday. I did the Ride at 5 with KG at the time. You know what I'm saying? And it was the same scenario. I like hosted the whole show. It was mine, and then from there I started to manage KG, and then the first
KG's been working for a very long time.
Yeah, long time.
He's been in the casino. That's the last time I seen him was a couple months ago in the
Yep.
casino. He always over there though.
So yeah, and then from there, the first artist that I interviewed was Angie Martinez. A couple months later, she gave me a job,
and that's what I was gonna get into because that's a big step. You worked for Angie, is that correct?
Yeah.
What was you doing with Angie Martinez?
So originally, she really just wanted me to do like, at the time the music stores were big, the independent stores, and she wanted me to do like promotions and like move her music around, her physicals around all through the Northeast, right?
And this is when she was an artist, or when she was just a big
she was an artist.
radio host, because she was already lit then.
She had a platinum album prior, but she had just started her own label called Animal House. Mm-hmm. So she got like a deal. Her and Pecos, who is now at Rock Nation, they got a deal through Elektra, through Sylvia Rohn, and she was gonna sign an artist. So our initial conversations was just on some shit like that, and then she was like, I just signed this kid Sicario. I'm about to send him to Connecticut to live, and you want to work with him? And boom, that's just how, you know what I'm saying? So I started to work with him, and then I went on the road with Angie, and I went on the road with him, and I used to sit at Hot 97, and then
which was like a her like partner. I was his,
like
her assistant.
I was Sicario's like tour manager.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then I ran promotions for her label. Right? For Animal House.
Animal House, okay.
Yep. But the only artist on the label was Sicario and her. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, she was getting ready to put out a huge album. She had the If I Could Go record with Sicario. She had like the other record with Khalees. She had a big album coming. You know what I'm saying?
She did good. She did good for a
little big features,
little
and so I mean, she did her thing. So she gave me an opportunity, and the biggest thing was really just being able to sit at Hot 97
and meet all these people.
Right, all the labels was coming by, the artists is coming by. You know what I'm saying?
Angie's the queen of that shit.
She was great. So I ended up then from there. Like I worked with her for like, I don't even know, 2 years probably.
And right? How old were you when you were done with Angie?
21, 22.
Okay.
Right?
And then what would you... So you met a lot of people working with her, and throughout the years you was working with her, going to Hot 97 and your AM station, I'm sure you met a lot of people doing that, because you said a whole bunch of names.
Yeah. I started working with a bunch of like Connecticut artists. Early. I mean, even in Bridgeport, bro. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are, but like Connecticut Cartel, like this is 2000, 2001. Like them kids were moving out here. You know what I'm saying? So like I've been working with artists. From really, it started from that station. I started to meet a lot of people from the station in the KG.
The AM station?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, did you continue to do radio after you left Angie, or what?
No.
What was
so
your next destination?
When Angie and Sicario hired me, I quit radio. I was only on radio for 3 months. I was done.
I'm going on tour. You probably made the best decision you ever made in your life.
Yeah, I mean, it could have gone either way, but yeah, again, it was all so new to me. I didn't have this picture to be on radio. I didn't have this picture. It was, for me, it was getting where you fit in and just take the opportunity and just run. So like it was a good scenario for me for sure. Working with her, and then I went on to like get some internships at some labels, and I worked for Rockefeller. I worked for Def Jam. I worked for Warner. I worked for.
And what did you do as far as working for them? Was you like a street team manager or something?
Originally, it was all internships for like street promotions, and really.
So you're like one of the original street teamers.
Bruh, I used to like flag poles. I started, like Loud Records, Gabi, Kingsley. Kingsley fathered me in this shit. Like, so again, I start managing KG from Hot 93. So originally he was from Hot 93, but 910, Blaze 990, all these other stations. So
that's
anyway.
where people know him now. That's where he's at now.
Well, not anymore.
Well,
but.
that's where people would know him from now.
Yeah. So he's doing mixtapes. So I used to push out his mixtapes to the store. So I ended up meeting Kingsley. Kingsley is like
DJ Kingsley, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had the store. He had Catch and Wreck.
The record store in downtown Bridgeport, right?
In the mall. So Kingsley just took a liking to me because I was just hustling, like always trying to hustle mixtapes, and he started to just give me work with promotions. He'd be like, listen, I need this done in Hartford. I need flyers put up, CDs given out, stickers given out. And Kingsley really like was instrumental in getting me in the street team world. So when I went for my internships, I would use my work with Kingsley, and they all knew who he was. They used to Kingsley used to be hired by every major label.
That's crazy.
Virgin, Def Jam, like Columbia, Loud, Raucous. I mean, like Koch. Like, they were giving him big bread to run street promotions for the state.
Damn, that's
and
dope.
He used to run.
And I remember that time because Tone used to be with him a lot. Big Tone.
Yep.
And he used to tell me crazy stories of how they used to get like liquor for clubs and
all kind of stuff.
Like he's like, yo, the way these sponsors do it now, like
it motivates. So long story short, when I got with Angie too, I had also opened a music store because I was running
like a label, like a record store.
Yeah, like mixtapes and CDs and DVDs. Because I started running when I started working with the DJs at the station. I started to run mixtapes. So I was running mixtapes for Craig G and Hoot Kid and Clue.
And this was when mixtape was real big.
Yeah, this is when mixtapes were super popping. So with the little bit of bread I made from Angie and Sakari, I opened a store, right? Mm-hmm. So then Kingsley, again, we used to do in-store signings. We used to bring artists through the state and go pop through 3, 4, 5 stores. You know what I'm saying? So I had a store during this whole time that I was like working with the labels and doing street promotions. And then at like 05, I started to just like link with more artists, and I started to do like road management. I went on the road with Paul Wall. I went on the road with DJ Unk. Like, I went on the road with Sean Kingston. Just like
this
like
nigga
random,
is talking that shit. I love it.
Random people, you know. And then like I just started to deal with artists more, and then I got into management and marketing, and I kind of just moved away from street team stuff and nightclub stuff. You know what I'm saying? So,
all right, so. What is your official position right now? What do you consider yourself as? What I would say, because I know you're part of Webby's label, right?
Yeah, I'm a part of ADHD. I mean, I guess I'm a manager. I mean, I guess that's what I tell people the most. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But like, you know, the scope of what I do
is bigger than just.
It's bigger than that. For me, like, I've been able to stay relevant this long by being able to provide like a service. So no matter what the service was, like if you needed a DJ for a club, you needed a DJ for a wedding, you needed a flyer, you needed a designer, you know, you need someone for Spotify, you need someone for YouTube, you need someone for physicals, you need someone for distribution, like whatever it was, I found a way to offer that service so that I could stay relevant with so many people. You know what I'm saying? And not having the bread to spend for my artist personally, because I didn't come from no bread. You know, you got to use your relationships and offer your services. So I would offer my services in exchange for things to help the artists I was working with.
I was going to say, that's a beautiful thing, because you got to be able to give something to these artists to get something back most of the time. Like, so.
For sure. I mean, and not just artists, like, you know,
anyone,
whoever it is, like, because that's how you build relationships, by being able to offer something.
You don't always have to, but to get, how I would say it, to get like the person to give you their genuine 100%.
Yeah, you got to offer something in return. It's tough to find someone to like just put you under their wing and give you gems. It's not.
It's very tough.
It's very tough. You know
there are people like that.
Yeah, there's random people. You know,
they'll get a vibe, but there's not many. You won't find it.
It don't happen that often.
Very often.
No, it don't happen that often. You know,
definitely
not. But yeah, and so for me, it was just really being able to offer a service. So whatever the service is, I figured out how to make it work.
So. How long have you and Chris Webby been doing your thing? Because I remember Chris Webby from 2010.
Yeah. So it's funny. His old manager was like my intern for Mook and Fair.
I was gonna say Mook and Fair. I forgot about
so
the breakdown.
So I had gotten a Mook and Fair deal in like 2009. 2009, and we did the deal with Johnny Shipes. Johnny Shipes now, he owns Cinematic, which back then he also owned Cinematic, but at the time, he had a deal with Sony. So we do the deal, and Johnny at the time had Currency under his label. Okay. So Johnny was doing street promotions in Connecticut with this kid Dana, which was Webb's old manager. So Johnny calls me after we signed Mooka Fair, and he's like, yo, I got this kid. You want him as your intern for the Mooka Fair project? And I'm like, yeah. And it ended up being Webb's former manager. And he put me on a Webb 2010. And it was cool. I mean, like, I knew who he was. I watched him build, but it wasn't my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were big. Like, at that point in my career, I was very in the mainstream stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I was going to say, because every person that you named before Webby was, like, a big name artist. Or at least in the commercial lane.
The commercial space. So it just didn't interest me. But then again, they also never came to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know Webb that well. I just knew his former manager, you know, and I watched him kind of just progress. And then at the time, this is 2013, I was working with Ray J. And
see, I told you that, but big name back in 2013, Ray J was the shit.
Yeah. So my thing with him was like coming to an end. You know what I'm saying? And his former manager just reached out to me one day like, yo, you know, I think we've gotten Webb as big as we can get him in this lane, right? Mm-hmm. We kind of want to make this jump, you know, to the mainstream and start getting bigger looks and this and that. So I agreed to come on board as like a co-manager. So I partnered with his former manager, and then we managed Webb together. So that was like super late 2013. Like summer 2013.
Okay.
Right? But we had a deal in place for him by early 2014.
Yeah, because 2014 he was like,
he did a deal with E1. He did a big deal. He did one of the craziest independent deals
because he was fucking that Piff up.
Oh yeah. But this was his first jump to like physical CDs and stores and an album. He had never put out an album. He had put out, you know, at that point 10 mixtapes, you know, like. So he had never put out like a real full body of work. So he did a big deal at E1, and like it was an incredible deal, you know. But Webb went through like a period where he changed, right? Because like when I first got with him, the goal was to make him Eminem, Macklemore, like not them, but like as big as them, mainstream, right? Mainstream. And I think at that point, I think Webb thought that's what he wanted, right? And then, you know, come 2016, you know, there was a lull we talked about, and then like he kind of realized that he didn't want that. Like he didn't want to be LeBron James. He wanted to be the sixth man off the bench, which is fine. You're still famous. You still make
money,
a super amount of bread. You know what I'm saying? But you can still like live your life and be semi-normal, and you don't need to be all over this and all over that. And like he can go to the mall and he can, you know what I'm saying?
He can walk around and live his life and enjoy his life. So
that kind of changed it changed everything, because, you know, once you realize what an artist wants, you stop making, like, when we thought he wanted to be this, we made those moves. And in hindsight, it was all the wrong moves. Mm-hmm. Not because we were doing something wrong, but because we didn't really know. He didn't really know the direction he wanted to. And that just comes with, like, getting older
and time,
growing up. You know what I'm saying? So
because he was probably like 18 when y'all started.
Yeah, he was, well, with them 19. I didn't come in the picture until he was probably like 23, 22. You know what I'm saying? But still, he was just at a point in his life where he was partying and this music shit. Webb is a different type of dude too. He does this shit because he loves this shit. You know, like
he really loves this shit. Like I done.
He loves this shit. Like,
had a conversation with him, and I'd be like blown away.
He knows you need bread to run a business, but money has no like monetary value to him. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
So yeah, man, like it, you know. So I've been with him. To answer your question, I've been with him since
2013.
Yeah, late 2013. So almost 7 years.
8 years almost.
8 years.
Well, 7 years and a couple months. Yeah, because it's the beginning of.
Yep. So I've been with him for a minute.
Yeah, so how has... Let me ask you this. Since you've been on so many tours road trips, been a road manager for so many different artists. What is probably like your top thing that you remember off head that happened on the tour like crazy? It don't have to be like, something.
I mean, there's been some wild shit, man.
Like a crazy party or something that just happened.
We were doing a show in Oklahoma City it was Paul Wall, Jeezy, and Plies, and I was with. Listen, we come out the back door, and I'm with the artist. I'm with Paul, and these dudes just start sawed off shotguns and start just shooting because Paul didn't do a verse for one of them or some wild shit like.
So you were part of the crew and the niggas
we're hiding behind the dumpster, like the big green dumpsters, and they're just dumping.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was a wild one.
That's probably the most memorable experience I can remember.
Again, mind you, I'm at that point. I'm still only 25 years old. Like I'm not. I grew up, I guess, around the hood, but I didn't grow up in the hood. You know what I'm saying? So like.
That was real.
For me, yeah, that was, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, there's been so many crazy things that have happened on the road. I mean, to like just like vans breaking down and wheels falling off of trailers.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard a lot of crazy stories.
Yeah, like wild stuff. I mean, like bumping into random artists, like just being able to be different places all over the world, you know what I'm saying? Like there's so many.
So the artists that you've worked with, who could you say you have like the most fun with? Web?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love going to his shows.
The kid has a ton of fun, and like he allows the people on his team to like do their job, and then he's also put together like a super cool crew of people on the road. Like when we go on the road, like we have like a solid crew, and everybody kind of like plays their part and does their role and makes it easier for everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
I honestly, because of Santo being part of your team,
Santo is incredible.
I've like seen like probably the growth probably started before Santo, but from when Santo got on there is when I see, and I just see like. You keep picking people up. You got a couple different people, like you know.
Yeah, bringing Dave into the fold was big. Like
Dave was
our merch
big.
Guy
he ended up turning into a DJ and a host.
Yeah, doing all kind of shit. You know,
that shit was dope. I was like, yo, that's fire.
It's fire. So I mean, the way it works. So yeah, I mean, probably the most fun. You know, but like I'm at a point in my life too where I'm older now and I enjoy these things more. Like when I was younger, I was going 100 miles a minute and just doing, random stuff. And in the mainstream world, everything is so much more like one after another. There's not a lot of like building in between. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of just like boom, 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 and you're hot because of the record you have. Like, being able to work on Web with someone who's got like this core set of fans is different. You get to build with them and like become homies with them. We know people. Web knows people in every city we go to, like legit fans that have been coming to the same shows for there's
and I could co-sign that because I go to a couple of his shows every year that he does the one that holds place, and I go to a couple that he do in New York. And I see a lot of the same people popping out, coming out, going crazy, supporting. And he, like what he does in Connecticut for Black Friday.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Like he actually has a whole section where his fans can come up there and actually chill with him, drink, have a good time. Like all the fans that he knows forever.
Yeah, it's dope.
They're up there.
He's got a cool thing going on for sure. So, yeah, I mean, like being on the road with him has been like... probably the most fun I've had for sure.
That's dope. So what do you see coming in the future for y'all? How was 2020? Matter of fact, that's what I want to talk to you about because everybody had a lot of setbacks. 2020, it kind of messed you up because I know Webby's a touring animal.
Yeah, he had a few tours set. I mean, Annoyed was set to come out again and then go out on his own. So, touring wise, it kind of messed everything up, But I mean, creatively, it was good. Guys gotten to go. Annoyed put out, damn near 20 records last year. You know what I'm saying? So like, Webb put out 25 plus records last year. So, and I think a lot of artists in general, a lot of artists got creative. A lot of artists got online. Like a lot of artists started to get some fan retention, So I think that there was a plus and a minus for all artists, like they were able to sit home and
a lot of people got
collect
to
their
listen
thoughts
to
and writes and listen and but there's two sides of that too. As an artist, like if you're sitting in a house for 3 months, like it's hard to get motivation to write and all of that, but it allowed even like especially someone like Chris and a lot of these big indie artists, like it allowed them a break to just hang out, like independent life is hard. Like it's for me, I think it's a lot more difficult than like mainstream artists.
Because a lot of mainstream is pretty much set up for you. It's like
set up and the money is different, but they don't tour 75 or 100 cities a year. They'll get more bread per show and do 20 dates, or they only do radio dates, or they only do nightclubs. You know what I'm saying? You don't. And there's, they have upfront money and back ends, and, with indie guys, like, all their bread is made, number one, from them being on the road, number two, directly from putting out their content. You know what I'm saying? Streams and all that, and then three, their merch. So it's a constant, everyday struggle. As a mainstream artist, like, when you're on the radio all the time, or when you're on MTV all the time, or when you're on every big blog all the time, like, it's a well-oiled machine that you're put in front of people all the time.
It runs itself.
You could have one record, like look at the CJ kid, Whoopty. He got one record on his Spotify. He got 15 million monthly users. One record.
That's crazy.
Kid got 2 billion streams on one record, and he's got no catalog on Spotify at all. Just one song.
Just that one song.
Just the one record.
I haven't heard nothing else from him.
So now, and I'm not saying that he won't have a bunch of records. I'm just saying like that's the difference, like in the independent and the mainstream, you really have to put out content and work. And there's a ton of guys that do it, like there's a whole bunch of indie artists that do it, but a lot of people aren't built for that. Mm-hmm. It's a different type of grind than like what everybody sees on some like bigger artist shit. You know what I'm saying?
It's different, right? It's completely different. It's 24/7. Like at the same time, you got to be 24/7 about doing all of this. Then you got to have a space in your mind to do music, and then you gotta, gotta have space for everything. So having the right team on like a road is like a key factor.
A road or not, you still have to. You have around you. You have to. Even me, I won't even really manage an artist anymore, like by myself. Like I want a partner or partners, because you can't do it all alone, know. Mm-hmm. And when I first started, a lot of managers did, and because the space was so small, like the music industry was 5, 6, 7,000 people, and everybody kind of knew each other. Now with the internet, the business has become so big, so like
yes,
I may have these 10 contacts, but there's 10 more I don't have, and I have to hire someone to get those contacts. Like you could hire a PR person, right? And the PR person has 20 great things they could do for you, but there's still those 5 things they can't get. So you're going to have to hire another person. But a long time ago, one person, one company, one entity could do everything. And now there's just too many people involved. There's too much like rollover. Like one person will be at a company for 2 months, and then at another company for 6 months, and another company. Everybody's kind of always jumping ship. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough to kind of keep a pulse on it. And now there's so many outlets, so it's
billions of different Spotify tough. Title, this, that.
You need a partner. You need a partnership. You need other people on your team for sure.
You definitely need a team, a monster team to complete anything. To put a song out, you need a whole team. Just to put one song out, you need a producer team. You need a engineer squad, and then you need
video guys,
a billion things. You need a graphic designer
even
for
general,
artwork.
Trying to find somebody that wants the same thing that you want and understands it is difficult. As being a manager, I say it all the time. And I seen him like a meme, or I seen somebody say this on Instagram, like, and it was the realest shit ever. And when you, as an artist, right, that hits me up and wants me to manage them or wants me to work with them, right? Mm-hmm. You're asking me to, because as a manager, your job is to put them first and to
cut everything off.
So you're asking me to put my family on hold, put other artists on hold, put my personal wants and needs on hold for you. You know what I'm saying? So like when you ask someone to help you or to manage you, like you're asking someone to take away from their day and their time and their, you know what I'm saying? So
in their life,
I don't think that people really look at it like that sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I feel like people don't really realize how time consuming it is and what you have to do in order to be effective for an artist. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy.
It's not just making a song and putting it up.
No.
It's definitely not.
Especially not as a manager. Like, you may not even have anything to do with, like, the creative side. You know what I'm saying?
Most of the time you don't.
Most of the time you don't. So, it's tedious. So, when someone, when just before you ask somebody for something, like, you have to really think at what you're asking them for. And if you understand what you're asking them for, you have a better shot at getting it. Because, again, like, I can never tell an artist what I can do for them. Like, it's impossible. Mm-hmm. Like I can tell you in terms of, like, what you want to hear and, like, the things I know that I can do, X, Y, and Z, right? Mm-hmm. But, like, I can never break down for you what it takes to do that, is what I'm saying. So, like, the one interview I get you, it may have took me 30 phone calls
just to get that
15 hours in absorbing a whole bunch of other contacts and bringing people in the fold just to get that one thing. Or, you know, say I'm trying to get you on tour and I don't get you on tour, but that doesn't mean that I didn't try 100 times. Like, just because it didn't happen. And that's the problem. I think that in the business that we
people need to hear this, because I could imagine what people be in your DM saying or done said, or because you've been doing this for a long time.
It's crazy.
You used to do shows back in the day to have artists come up and perform, and then they win something, right? That's what you used to do?
I did. I mean, I was involved in all of that because, again, like, that was just a part of coming up and trying to, like, figure out where you get in. And when you're moving early on in this game, there's no real money. You know, it's hard to find money. The majority of people trying to get into business are not making really any money. Not off this, because there's not a lot of money to be made, really, like, at until you get to the point. You know what I'm saying? Because
so the money's coming in.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get to that point. You know, like, even me, like, I probably didn't start making real money off, like, I made spurts of money. So, like, I got in early. I worked, with Angie. I made a little bit of bread, and then I went for a time period where I was interning and working for next to nothing, just trying to get into the labels. And then, like, on some TM shit, like, you make a few dollars, like, if you're just the guy that they brought in instead of, like, a guy who came up, you know what I'm saying?
With the crew, yeah.
So you make a little bit of bread, like, but I didn't really make. That's why I had to do so many things. Like, I used to run around the nightclubs, and then I would book artists. I'd make a commission here, and then I was trying to, I had to do 30 things to make $35,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally had to.
He was grinding. He was out here working.
So it took 7, 8, 9 years before I could say that, like, I was making money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a store and all of that, and the store kind of just floated by, and I made enough to pay for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't make a ton of bread. Like,
you didn't get rich off of it.
No, none of that.
You can't start a whole corporation off your store.
No. So, it takes time. So it's been, like, a long process for me, but I'm at the best point in my career. The situation that I'm in now has been good for me, like, mentally, physically. Like, the other part is, this business is
mentally
tough.
is I think that's probably the best thing to work towards. And
quality of life is
it's
important.
Getting a mental place where you could, you're gonna be good. You're gonna get that job done, and you could be in peace of mind. Like,
quality of life is important, man. And in the music shit, you get caught up. And I look back now and be like, damn, it's been almost 20 years. But, like, you get caught up chasing the dream of this shit, right? And you just don't really get a chance to enjoy it, especially, like, in my world, like, where I was trying to, get to that achieve that goal or achieve that dream, right? You're not sleeping. You're on the road. You're living out of hotels and suitcases. Like, you're constantly dealing with different people and different faces, and it's a struggle to get to the real point. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people get lost. We work in a business that's like about what you have, who you're moving with. It's a facade, really. Like, you wake up one day and realize your whole shit is a lie because you've been
100% true,
and not because you've been telling a lie, but you personally have been like chasing after something so long that, like, what are you even looking for anymore?
I was gonna say you could get lost in chasing something so much without taking a step back to like look at what you got and like what you achieved. Like, a lot of people who's running, they never look and be like, yo, look where I'm at, or look what I've done. Like, you never happy with your accomplishment until you get there.
For sure. And then again, too, the goal is, in this music shit, it's like, I want to be at the Grammys, I want to be at MTV, and like, you should always set your goals high, right? But like, if I've been 1 foot in and 1 foot out my whole career, where like, I've been lit and been involved in some cool shit, but like, I didn't really get there. You know what I'm saying? So I've kind of been like tethering that line for a long time, but that same thing has allowed me to be relevant as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
because you're always around.
I'm always in the middle of it somewhere. But like, I don't know, what's the real goal? I mean, people say it all the time, like, what's the mark of success? Or like, people don't know that I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and it's like, you don't have to know. That's the beauty with music now, is that there's thousands of artists making hundreds of millions of dollars, and you don't even know them. You know, like
there's 1,000 big artists in every country,
right? And you don't even you have no idea like what that person's doing, or because you don't see them in that space. But that's what I'm saying, is that everybody's depiction of what a superstar or what like a mainstream artist, they have like this false narrative, and like this they look towards those 10 or 15 artists, and that's where you need to be, and if you're not there, you're not popping. Like, it doesn't really make any sense, and the music don't work like that no more.
It don't.
You know, like, there could be a dude legit down the street that you've never seen making $5 million a year off his music.
Yeah, and it could be off beats, it could be off of
whatever.
Anything.
Whatever, yeah.
It could be a guy the guy talking on the radio. Ever think about how much millions of dollars that guy got? He's on like every fucking radio station there is. Like,
and again too, like, just because you have a hit record doesn't mean you're making money. Just because you have a buzz doesn't mean you're making money. Just because you're getting streams, it doesn't mean you make money. It's all relative to how you set yourself up and what type of deal you have, and like a bunch of things that kind of go into that space, you know. But like, so for me, I just think that like success is measured on, I guess, however you feel, right? Like, it doesn't have to be. Chris loves where he's at, like, you know, like, the kid is making money and he's doing what he loves, and he can still be semi-normal, you know what I'm saying? And and people don't realize that the dude down the street is doing 100 shows a year, performing in front of 100,000 people every year,
consistently.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know,
and he's happy. He doesn't need to get anything crazy, a huge crowd. I mean, like, of course he wants a huge crowd, bigger, but he doesn't need it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look, even with Annoyed, man, I think that, like, Annoyed is so talented, right? I think we spent the first couple of years with him trying to, like, get him a deal or get him in the mainstream with his talent, right? And because he's that talented. But along the way, what we forgot to do was like build the base, right? And do things right internally, and like build a fan base so that it could carry us, you know what I'm saying? And he can start making money off this thing. So
fans
like,
are key.
Yeah, so I think that, you know, again, when you're trying to get to a point, you're so blinded by that one goal that you miss all the little shit in between, right? It's the same thing. That's real. Think about an artist that's going in to make like this album, right? And this album got to sound this one way. So because he's got to make an album that sounds this one way, every other dope beat that comes to him that's not that sound pushes it aside. A feature that he could maybe have with someone that doesn't fit pushes it to the side. You know, you miss the opportunity to do an EP with someone over here, and you miss the opportunity because you're looking.
I did the wrong
Bro, when
way.
you go to the store and you're going to look for something black, you probably skip over
9
cool
outfits.
blue shirts and white shirts and red shirts because you're looking for a black shirt, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, it's the same thing, you know, with anything that has to do with, like, music or the goal you're trying to get to. I really feel like artists should really just pay attention to, like, all of the small things in between. And again, if you don't become a superstar, you could still make $1 million a year and be relatively unknown. Like, you don't, if you can get a couple of million streams a year, you can make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year off your stuff, right? And
gotcha.
I mean, like,
then you go to tour, then you add a little couple more dollars.
Like, but even if I could tell you, if I told you, like, yo, you may not be a superstar, but you could be a rapper for the rest of your life and make $100,000 a year, like take care of your family, you do what you love, and you know what I'm saying.
Be happy,
and you may or may not be happy. What all I'm saying is that, like, there's a different side to this. Before, you used to have to be here to be successful. You know, in 2000, 2010, 2000, you had to be doing these things to be successful. Now, you don't. You can be doing that. You can be doing this. You can be doing that. You can be doing this. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can be successful, comparative, you know.
And still make money.
Yeah, for sure. When I first started, you had to be on MTV and BET. Like, now, it doesn't matter if you're
There's
on either
not even
of those.
no music
Really
station.
exist, right?
No more.
So, like, you know, even back, like, in 2010, you really needed to be on radio to have a huge record, right?
Now you just need that Spotify.
Now streaming. You know what I'm saying?
You know?
Right, any Spotify, any streaming network. So all of that has...
Just get on a playlist and you good.
Early 2000s, you had to be on mixtapes. Like, all of that stuff changes, right? So, like, I mean, we're in a probably the craziest point in music now ever.
What is the latest change that you feel has happened to the industry?
Streaming.
Yeah,
I mean, it's...
nobody has got control of that yet.
I mean, like, certain artists have. I think a lot of the independent artists have control of it because that they understand how to make bread off of it. I think that, like, the industry, anytime there's a switch, there's like a delay, right? So, like, when it went from tapes to CDs, right? By the time CDs were understood, digital downloads came. And by the time digital downloads were understood, ringtones came. And by the time ringtones came, like, streaming came. So, like, every time something new pops up, by the time we actually catch on to it, there's normally something else. Even now, like, I think that
that's so real.
I think most of the streaming platforms are going to be gone in 5 years. I think that you're going to consume your music on social media. So, like, when you're on Facebook, you're going to listen to your music on Facebook. When you're on IG, you're going to listen to music on IG. I think that they're going to cut that step out. Because right now, you have to go if you're on Instagram or if you're on any social media outlet and you got to click a link to go to that platform. So really the only thing left is to cut out that extra click. Right? And
that's so real. I even think
and everybody spends their time on social media. Everybody. So why not have your music there? So I think they're going to figure out a way that social media is going to allow you to monetize, because you see it now. Like, I think Warner Brothers did a big deal with Snapchat. So now there's a bunch of Warner Brothers music on Snapchat. I think Universal just did a big deal with TikTok. So now they can they can monetize micro streaming on TikTok with Universal Music. So
that's crazy.
You see the dude who owns Twitter and Square, he's trying to buy Tidal, right? So I think that, like, the platforms are going to figure out a way to integrate the music into social media. So it's just one place, like one landing page.
Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Yeah.
And just... You want to listen to music? Go right here to it. Instead of the shopping button, it's gonna be the music button. That's where you play
that's
all
where you
your
play
music.
all your music from. Yep. So I think even, you know, we're catching on to that.
I see that happen. I can see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, what left is there to do? We don't have to download anything. We don't have to save anything. Like, it's literally, you pull the app up and press play, and your music is there. So, like, the only other thing you spend more time on is social media, right? Like, while you're on social media, you have Spotify playing, or you have your background music at your house playing off your speaker, or
mind blowing, because it's so It's so factual.
True. And you know, even too with like, dude, Amazon, like Alexa is now like they're saying it's going to be in something like 2 billion homes, right, by 2025. So you're going to be at the point where like you don't even have to search anymore. You're just like, Alexa, play me Drake. You don't have to see their face. You don't have to use your hands.
Talk. You just
talk.
You're gonna be thinking.
I mean, to the point where you even know now, like when you go to Google something, you can literally say something that's close. You could be like, new song that talks about thongs, and it'll pop up.
That song is gonna pop up.
So you're gonna be able to say to Alexa, like, Alexa, play the new song on the radio with the hook that goes
like this. That's
right.
It.
So, you know, I think that like we're going to an age where people are just getting like lazier and lazier, and there's less steps and less steps. You know what I'm saying? So like,
it's factual.
I really just feel like that's really
even
the only
thing
making
the music is getting lazier and lazier. All you need is a computer and a microphone now, and you can record anywhere
you want.
It's just lazier and lazier. It's just
I mean, it's convenient. Factor. I mean, it's convenient for people, and it allows people to just create. I mean, look at how much content there is. There's YouTube stars, and there's IG stars, and there's TikTok stars, and there's just we're in like an information wave where there's just a flood of everything. You know, so it's convenient for a lot of these people for sure.
Yo, that's so mind blowing. I'm still stuck on that whole social media thing because I see that happening. Mm-hmm. Because all they gotta do is just buy them other people out, and then they can
integrate the streaming in somehow, you know, like and the other part is that the music business is losing so much money because people are getting music on social media, not paying for it. You know what I'm saying? So like when people put a video on YouTube or a song on YouTube and someone plays that song from that platform, they're not getting bread from it. You see people's pages getting shut down and you again, look at so Spotify has, I don't know, I think somewhere around 400 million users now. Facebook has 1.5 billion users, right? Like
that's crazy, yo.
YouTube gets 6 billion searches a day. You know, a lot of that is people searching the same thing 30 times. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's. So now it makes a ton of sense. Like IG is moving up in users, Twitter's moving up in all these social media platforms. I mean, look at WhatsApp. Like WhatsApp is a huge social media app. It's relevant everywhere else in the world, but really besides the US. But like if all these apps have their own music, like you're talking about touching people that you don't touch, right? If you took all, Apple Music, I think has got like 60, 80 million users. YouTube Music has 40, 50 million. SoundCloud, Deezer. If you took every platform that you can get music on, they still wouldn't have as much as just Facebook, as far as people are concerned. So like, why wouldn't Facebook at some point want to jump in this space?
Let's just take over.
And they haven't yet, because you have to figure out a way to pay the labels. Right, like that's
pay the artists or the label.
Or the labels, like you have to figure, and that's what Spotify. But even then, they get criticized all the time. They pay out very low money. You know what I'm saying? Considering what you used to make for a physical sale, right? So you have to figure out a way to like license the music so that you can afford to have it. Like Spotify has 400 million users, but they only have like 90 or 100 million paid users. So that means that 300 million people are listening to Spotify for free. So they have to pay out on all those free streams, and they're only making money on 100 million of them, right? So that's why, like, you look at Tidal, and Tidal has 3 or 4 or 5 million users because it's $20 a month, right? People don't want to pay $20 a month. Tidal is a fire platform, right?
I got Tidal. That's all I use.
Right, but also why they pay higher than the other sites, because they charge a premium. You know what I'm saying? So they pay out more. Spotify is letting so many people stream for free that they can't afford to pay out more because they have to make all the money up.
It's either numbers or money.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
You want the streams or you want the money.
So, and then the other part is too, they have to pay to license all this music. So if it doesn't generate money, they're wasting their own money. Like when iTunes was scheduled to close, right, and go out of business, there was something like, over 1 million singles and albums that had never been downloaded one time. Like even now with Spotify, they're saying that they're close to 1 million songs that have less than 10 streams. So, and they have to pay to license that music and then pay to hold that music on their server.
Yeah, forever.
So
as long as they hold
right.
it.
So, and if that song is only doing 10 streams, it's not garnering any money. That's why YouTube switched. If you a year, maybe 2 years ago, YouTube went to, they require you to have X amount of users, X amount of views, X amount of hours watched in order to monetize your music, because they had 1 million pages that they were paying less than $10 a month for their views. So they basically said, let's cut those 100 million people out so that we can give more money to the people that matter. You know what I'm saying?
The people that's getting the hours, getting...
Right, all the views and the likes and the comments and all that. So now YouTube
dope.
decided to pay out a little bit more money to the people who have, enough fans, basically. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of the streaming networks are going to get the same thing, where they like, unless you do X amount of streams, they might pay you a lower rate and pay a higher rate to people who get more streams. And
that makes sense, though.
Well, even now, artists don't really realize that, like, you get paid out on the type of listener you have. So a listener, just take Spotify. So you have a free listener, and then you have like a $8.99 listener, and then you have like a $14.99 listener. Whoever's listening to your music is how you get paid. So if you have people listening that are paying the top tier, you get paid more. If you have people listening on the free side, you get paid less. So from one user to another, it matters on how you get paid.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So there's different ways that you get paid from your streams, and that's one of them is like, and then the other part is like retention, how long they're listening to the record, whether they skip the record.
Yeah, they listen to 10 seconds or...
Right, or whether they replay value. There's a whole bunch of things that fall into the line of like how you get paid for streaming. So
that's interesting. See, all y'all artists need to pay attention to that. Rewind that back and listen to it again, because he just broke down some shit for y'all that y'all need to do and listen to. So, thank you. It's been a dope conversation. You let some gems out for these people.
Yeah. I try.
Basically, keep doing your thing. Keep moving. I love the movement that y'all have going on.
Appreciate it.
The whole Webby and the whole ADHD.
Yeah.
Killing it. Noise killing it. I was actually at a video shoot with them not too long ago, like a month ago. Him and the Chris Webby and
the orangutan record. Yeah, that record did really well.
And that video was crazy. Mike
People have been popping out to a lot of different videos. I'll say now, man, there's these guys out here, a lot of the new people around, like a lot of the new rappers and shit, they're showing a lot of love.
You have to. I'm happy that's starting to become a thing.
You're starting to see a lot of artists working together and a lot of different people working together. And I think that like the new generation of artists are like, they're not petty, right? And they also haven't been through the era in music where like it made you blinded, right? Like if you come from the era like 2000 to 2010, you've put in so much work and things have changed and it didn't happen yet. You feel a certain type of way, right? Like these new kids, they haven't predetermined who they like or dislike. They're not, you know what I'm saying? They're not super cliquey. They want to work with other people. And you see in that, bro, like I see a lot of the artists out here really, really showing a lot. Like Sholey is showing a ton of love to a ton of rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's getting that back.
He definitely is. I love his wave. I love his whole
Ty
wave.
Henny and Annoyed and Don ZOP. There's a ton of young Mula Guapo. There's a ton of young cats that are all kind of moving together and they're supporting each other. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody's supporting each other.
Bridgeport got a really big movement. Kados is super dope, you know? So, like, the fact that guys are, like, working together now and, like, you see them tweeting each other and you see them, you know, even just recently.
Did you get a chance to, like, jump in that conversation that the whole Connecticut had? I didn't. I wanted to.
I will never.
But just go into that clubhouse thing?
I can't. Because for me, like, I have such a long history out here, right? And good or bad, I've been involved with so many people, and you know, some people feel a certain way about me, and some people think I could do more, and some people think I should do less, and I just, for someone who's in this business for real, and someone who's tried to like really like help a lot of artists out here, it's frustrating for me, and for me to jump in those conversations, it never works out good.
Yeah, it was kind of, I was like looking at the post, I'm like, yo, it's just a lot of ignorance, but like I said,
I heard.
I don't know. I didn't go on the Clubhouse or whatever the thing is called now.
I just won't. I
heard they was on there for hours talking, and that was just like mind blowing. Like, damn.
Yeah, but you know, again, when in scenarios like that, everybody starts pointing fingers, and it's, you know, it's this person's fault. You don't do enough. The radio don't do enough, and then you know, and then vice versa. The radio and the powers that be are saying these artists aren't where they need to be, and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and it comes into like a shouting match, and I don't want to do that no more.
Exactly, yo. I have the feeling that
you know
was
me
how
on
it
social
could
media,
be.
bro. Like I've gotten into it so many times, and my page, you know, the stuff I post be like controversial for artists and stuff out here, and now I'm just at the point where like I'm just trying to help some people out and do the right thing by a few people. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't help everybody. You know.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't got time for all that other shit.
You can't do everything, bro. And
listen, I'm watching Y Jones, right? She's been crushing it, right? Like she's really, really trying to help artists out here and create like a platform, and she's trying to like, you know, to help break artists and show love, and I'm seeing, and she's been going at it hard for, you know, months now, and I'm starting to see her frustration now in her posts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, and you've been doing that for years, so I can understand.
So like, you know, and it sucks because that's where I was at, right? Like, good or bad, my intention was always to help, right? So like, if things didn't work out or things did work out, like, you know, you kind of catch flack for it, and being also
That's
too. I'm also
true.
Listen, when you're a middleman or when you're a manager, like as a manager, it's your job to take shit, right? Like it's your job to beat a dick for the artist. It's your job to beat a punching bag, like, you know, and you're the fall guy in a sense. So like, shit happens, you know, and even when you play middleman, and when you play middleman in life, like if your homie hits you and is like, yo, you got a good dude who plows driveways, and you're like, yeah, my homie Joe does it. Joe shows up and he fucks up a curb. And then your homie gonna call you like, bro, your man, he sucked. Like, he know, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you didn't really do anything wrong.
Yo, that's so factual.
Like when you play the middleman, that's the role you assume. Unfortunately, you know
it's hard. It's hard to recommend someone even for work. Or and your lane is like completely different because you're in like, you built these relationships. Like it was it's not easy for it was not easy for you to build these relationships. No. You got 20 years of doing this shit. Like, to have these relationships, for you to just use them for you because you said we're from the same state or the same. You know what I'm saying?
Even now, like I'm now at the point in my career where like I don't even want. I rather just plug the artist. Like if an artist, like I tell artists all the time, like, yo, you need something, like I'll plug you right to the dude. Like you handle that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I can also only send a certain type of artist to these people because I can't have them fucking up my relationships. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They gotta
know how to talk, and they gotta know
I'm in a scenario now where I gave an artist from Connecticut a contact for someone that I use a lot for, you know, something that I need for my clients. Uh-huh. And the kid fucked up, you know, and it made me look crazy. Like damn. Super crazy. And now, granted, this dude I've been doing business with for years, and I've made him a lot of money, so he's not like cutting me off. He's not. But he made me look crazy.
But he now that's in his head, like, you know, for a little bit.
Yeah, like, but what happens is he'll want whoever I'm gonna do something with. He's gonna want them to go through me and not send it directly to them.
That's, you know what I'm saying?
And I don't want to play middleman no more. I don't want to do that no more. I'm tired. I've done that my whole life, and it's gotten me into mad trouble. You know, like, again, for good or bad, as much as you've known about me, you've heard probably some foul shit. And
I know. I was gonna say, like, you probably got,
you know, but again,
good or bad, one of the best.
But it don't, you know, again, anything foul that's ever happened has never been out of being malicious or ever trying to do something wrong to somebody. You dig? It's shit that arises in this business. Like, it's so difficult. You know, like, I tell stories all the time how, like, weird stuff swings a certain. Listen, I did a program for an artist at WorldStar, right? The kid pays me for the bread. I didn't make no bread. I sent it directly to WorldStar. I got a little bit of a deal. The dudes start buying fake views. The dudes from WorldStar call me, tell me, fuck that kid, pull his videos down from WorldStar. I told the kid, don't buy fake views. Like, you
don't need to on WorldStar.
No. So that kid takes to Facebook and is telling people I robbed him for X amount of dollars. No, bro, I paid WorldStar with your bread. They didn't refund you because you bought views, but now you're telling people that I did something wrong.
Yeah, I could imagine that shit happened 1,000 times too.
And even too, and the other part too is nothing in this business is ever guaranteed. Like, even if
exactly, I was gonna say that. I was gonna say a lot of things that I've heard about you. I'd be like, bro, that's not 100%. Like, I'm in the industry. I know, like, I'm not in that part of the industry, but I'm far enough in it that I know that can happen that easily.
That goes back to what we said, you know, like I there's an artist that I try to help get on Sway, right? And I've gotten mad artists on Sway, and my clients are always on Sway. But it's a process, right, to build for another artist. But, like, if you pay me to try and get you on Sway, and I don't get you on Sway, that didn't mean that I didn't spend 6 months trying to get you on Sway.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
that's 100% right.
It's you know, and these guys, like, most of these outlets, they don't take bread.
They can't sometimes.
No, they don't. Like, yo, none of the dudes I deal with, like, take bread from me. Like, if you want me to do something for you, you're paying me for my service and my relationships. But these guys don't charge. You just can't pay to get on Flex and pay. It just don't work like that, right? Yeah. Like a lot of people think it do, and it doesn't. These guys get offered bread all the time. Like, I can't even. It's disrespectful to even offer a lot of these dudes bread. But I just say that to say, like,
niggas gotta hear this. You gotta let people know this.
This shit just ain't easy.
Yes.
It really ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? And, like,
I'm kind of happy you did this podcast because you let a lot of these people out here know that this what's going on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Pretty much.
But it's
anyone
important.
who had hard feelings or had anything, they know why now. You know what I'm saying? At least they have a little bit. They probably don't even care, but you know.
Whether they care or they don't, and I mean, I'm at the point where, like, I've got a pretty clean conscience. But again, listen, I'm a human being. Like, I've done some dumb shit and I've said some dumb shit, and, like, that type of stuff happens. But also, I've been involved with so many things. Like, 100% of it's never gonna go right, bro. Like,
I heard a lot of bad things, but I heard more good things than bad things.
That's all I could ask for, really. You know? But a lot of the same people who talk crazy are still trying.
My boy Dimbolo says good things about you.
Man, that dude, like, was one of the realest ever.
Yeah,
you know
back in the day, towards, you know, when we was building a relationship, it was. He mentioned you, like, when we was about to start doing videos and stuff together. He mentioned you, like, and I'm like,
I always did right, but the other part too is the expectation, right? Like, when you come into something, like, I've had guys hire me to, like, do some consulting, and then 2 or 3 months later, they're saying to me, bro, you don't do for me what you do for X, Y, and Z, and you don't treat me to, and it's just like, wait, I don't manage you, right? Like, so, like, the expectation, you have to understand what I think in life, period, right? Like, what your expectation is. If your expectation is not met, you're always going to be let down, right? But do you have a realistic expectation? Like, it's the same. I tell guys now, like, even a kid hit me the other day, he want to do blogs, right? He want to get his music on blogs. I said, my man, blogs they're not really lit no more, right? If you want to get on blogs, it's cool, but now you want to get on blogs just to kind of, like, get some
your name out
searchable
there.
results on
Yeah.
Google. Like it doesn't really help you, right? So like, but I've had artists that want to get on blogs and then they pay to get on blogs and then they didn't pop and they're mad at the person, not just me, right? Like same thing. If someone comes to me and says, "Yo, I want to do some advertising on YouTube," and it's like, "All right, cool," and you think that paying $1,000 is gonna get you 1 million views and you're gonna take off, it's
not gonna do
no.
that.
So no matter what, whoever you work with, if they don't meet that expectation, you're let down. So I think that artists need to just really like understand how this shit works and have a realistic expectation. But that also comes back to like, again, as I've gotten older and like, try to do better, right? You now tell the artist straight up, like, for me now, I tell them straight up, like, yo, this is what you get, X, Y, and Z. At one point in my career, I sold it.
Yeah,
right?
I get what you're saying. And
now
100%.
I don't really sell it anymore. Like this
is what it is. You want it or not?
Yeah, like and again, that's kept me, afloat, and it's kept me now at a good space with a lot of people, right? Like, and it's tough, man, when you juggle a lot of stuff, and again, when you're in this music business, people tend to do whatever it takes to get where they need to get to, and that's not even just me. That's everyone. Listen, I've had artists come up to me and just been like, "Yo, my new artist, he's been on Sway, blah 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 blah," and then I go look, and the kid's never been on Sway. The kid was trying to be on Sway, and he wasn't trying to lie to me because he's a liar. He was trying to lie to me because he was trying to get my attention, right? So like, again, in this business, bro, when I started, I used to go to the clubs with vinyl that I got at the record store. I had a Def Jam bag. I used to go to the store, get vinyl, put it in the Def Jam bag, and I walk up to the club and be like, "Yo, I'm here from Def Jam. I'm here to give Funk Flex records." You know what I'm saying? Like, I was lying my ass off, right? Like, to get where you know what I'm saying? Like, when I was on AM radio, right? There was no email.
Big Chris.
There was no MP3 at this time, right? Email really didn't start like it was out, but it wasn't like they weren't sending music through it. Is what I'm saying, right?
It was
in order to get music, you had to get vinyl. The labels wouldn't give vinyl to regular DJs, because it was expensive. You had to be a radio DJ. Bro, I used to run around the city sitting outside of labels like, "Oh, my DJ's on X, Y, and Z station," and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, cool, we'll put you on a mailing list." Like, I wasn't doing that to, right? Like I just say that, like, in this business, and again, it's such a, like, it could happen at any moment. You could meet anyone at any moment. Today you could be here, tomorrow you could be there. A lot of people are in scenarios where, like, you gotta just shake and move.
Yes, that's the best way to say it. That's the best way to do it.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I do like I like the energy that these Connecticut cats are moving with now, and I think a lot of them have smartened up, and I think a lot of them are working together.
I love
like,
Connecticut right now.
Yeah, it's in the best space I've seen it in ever. Right, and I've been
there's a lot. It's not just music artists. There's a lot of dope artists.
There's a lot of dope. Just in general, I think the space out here, like, as far as, like, the videographers have gotten dope, and the video directors are dope, and there's a lot of dope producers, and there's a lot of dope engineers. Like, I think, but again, now versus when a lot of the old guard came up, there's so many more resources, right? And the kid 10 years ago that could never be a producer because he didn't have money for a studio is now a producer. You know what I'm saying? Like, the kid who couldn't shoot videos because he couldn't afford a $5,000 camera can now get a decent camera for
I'm one of them guys. I'm one of them guys. That's me. I got a $5,000 camera now, though.
Right, but like I think that, like, the accessibility has allowed a lot of these random people to get talented in things they normally wouldn't have even gone after.
You're
right?
100% right. You like, said that
when you first started doing this,
I was trash, bro.
Right.
I've been trash for a long.
Right.
I was trash for many years.
But in order to, there was like 3 or 4 cameras, and they were all like mad bread.
Yo, they were so expensive.
And now, like, they're still the ones you need to get are still expensive, but you can get by. I mean, people are shooting videos on iPhones, bro. Like, and again, like, you have the hefty, expensive joints over here,
This
and
Sony
then
joint's the
you
only
got
one that's
this one that isn't as good. But if you needed to, you can still shoot a fucking video on it.
Exactly.
Right? So like,
100% right.
I think the space, and I think too, like the leadership and the artists too. I think that like a lot of the artists moving now are good in their areas and they're moving correctly, right? And
you say that,
no, more than ever. I'm telling you, more than ever, and you could see it clearly. And even in the conversations, I say like half the battles, a lot of these artists don't really understand the business, which is the hardest part, right? But now a lot of these newer guys are starting to get it.
Yes,
you know
I agree with that because I see merch like Shorty, he's killing the merch game.
He's killing it.
That's part of the game. Right now, you can't do much tours, but like I mean, much shows or anything like that. But they're doing it. They're networking. They're getting people in each other's videos.
And they're not relying. They're also not relying on. Again, for so long, there was only one way to get into the business, and you had to go through X, Y, and Z to get there. Yeah. Now you don't really need that. Like it's nice to have.
You don't need the radio play. You don't need the. You don't need none of that to blow up and you do anything. You could. It'll help. Don't get twisted, but like you don't need to be on the radio to be doing anything in this industry. You still could be making moves. You still could be doing 1 million streams.
There's 4 or 5 kids from Connecticut making a few $1 million a year, and that have never touched radio.
That's crazy.
Like 4, currently. You know what I'm saying? Like.
That's big.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and they're all in different lanes.
Yo, so one quick question: a versus battle that you want to see that hasn't happened yet?
Oh man. I mean, I'd love to see Wayne and Drake.
Wayne and Drake. I love that one. A couple people said that. I love that battle.
I don't know who, but I'd love to see Busta with somebody. I just don't know who.
That's a hard one. I don't know.
Unless it's. I got into I think it might have been Kingsley's Facebook post, but like Jay and Busta, like I don't think Busta wins, but I think Busta's one of the 3 or 4 people that could
go with Jay.
Kind of maybe like on 20 records.
On 20 records, he got 20 records.
He got 20 records.
He got 20 records.
He's not gonna win, but I mean, who? I'd love to see Jay do it, but Jay will never do it. I'd love to see Busta do something.
Busta would be dope. I think Busta would do it.
I want to see Nas do it, but again, who
would you put the Nas?
I don't know.
There's like,
I'd love to see T.I. and Luda maybe like.
That's a good one too. That's a good one too.
Like I'd love to see maybe like. If
said
there's a way to do like a Dipset versus G Unit or like a Lox versus Dipset, like that'd be something cool. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be cool too. I like Dipset versus G Unit.
Yeah, I mean, I
because I feel like they had the same time.
They did, but I don't know if 50 will get in the same room with everybody. But like the Lox would versus Dipset, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I want to see. You know who else could probably do Busta is Fab maybe. Fab in a versus is gonna be tough to beat.
Fab got beat by Jada.
I don't know if he got beat by Jada. Maybe, but
I think he could have came.
I think he fucked up.
I think he fucked up on like 2 tracks.
His selection.
How he picked the records. If he would have picked some different records and mixed it up a little bit, he would have been right there with Jada.
With Jada.
Yeah, Jada.
Yeah, I want to see Nas. I also want to see Fat Joe because Fat Joe got records. Like records.
There's not many people that can fuck with Fat Joe either. Like,
so there's a few that I want to see. I mean,
Fat Joe do got records now.
He got records.
And Fat Joe know how to make a good album too.
I really like to see Drake and Wayne probably.
That's the best one. That's the best one. That's
probably the one I want to see.
That was just a curious question I wanted to get from you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you know this game. Like, so you know something that would be dope. So that was good. Thank you for coming through the podcast. Please shout out all your social medias or anything, so people can contact you or.
I'm just Chris Fury 1 on everything. Chris Fury 1. Super simple. Find me wherever.
Thank you for your conversation. It was great. I'm happy that we got to do this. Thank you for stopping by the Don't Be Mad podcast. And welcome to the year of Blackjack. Let's kill it this year.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Appreciate you.
Don't be mad, everybody. We out.